Do you ever think Nick Bosa will get back into the 15 to 18 sack range again? I do. I think it might. Call me crazy. I think it might happen this year. Not the 18 range, but the 15 range. He had 15 and a half, 18 and a half, 10 and a half, 9 and a half. The 18 and a half was the last time Robert Saleh was the defensive coordinator. Now, that was a different team. And I think there's a high variance this year. Like a lot could go right and a lot could go wrong. Like if Alfred Collins and Mykel Williams aren't ready to roll, at least one of the two of them isn't like really ready to roll. If one of these LB2 Dre Greenlaw replacements isn't up to snuff, if Renardo, PFF did their like big jump guys the other day, Renardo Green was on that list. If he's not ready to take a jump, I'm concerned about safety as always. I know, like I talked to Field Yates today. He's like, this Upton Stout, he's kind of like Malik Mustafa, not big, packs a punch. That's great, but that's scary. Like, small stature players who hit hard are they're putting themselves at risk. That said, if they can't, they are committing to stopping the run this year. So if they can stop the run and be in third down and long, and you just have some athleticism, some juice on the other side of Nick Bosa. And if you have a healthy Christian and you can score in the red zone, then you can play from ahead. So if you're stopping the run, scoring in the red zone, you're playing from ahead. And now Nick Bosa can get back in that. I wouldn't predict 15, but like if he's at 14, honestly, what is the lowest sack number I could tell you for Nick Bosa that makes you feel good about the way the season went? First number that pops in my head is like 13 and a half.
Yeah,
if you told me
12.
Yeah, if you told me right now Nick Bosa's got 13 sacks, I'd go, I think it's a pretty good year for the team.
That's a fair point about teams playing from ahead against the Niners last year. They didn't score on offense. They couldn't. So other teams were getting ahead.
They could move the ball though,
but they couldn't score touchdowns. Yeah,
but they couldn't score in the red zone, and everybody was. That's a McCaffrey thing, which I get. So, McCaffrey's health, I think, changes that. If it it's got to be now for Nick Bosa, right? He's in incredible shape, and hopefully he ages really well. And because he's in great shape, he can stay healthy and play effectively into his 30s. Edge rushers do not tend to be explosive, dominant players at 34 years old. I haven't done a spreadsheet on it, but I think that's probably what history will tell us. If we dove into it, we could find a guy here or there. But the good news is that's a ways away. Nick is 27 years old. He won't turn 28 until October 23rd. Another October birthday. A Libra. I don't know what being a Libra means, but I'm an October birthday guy. So I feel like we got a lot of October birthdays lately. We're going to have a lot more coming up in a few months in October. But he's like, this is his prime. If this is 28, 27, 28, this is when he should be getting 13, 14 sacks again. So
what's that number for Mykel? What do you need to see from him? If you can get X amount of sacks right now, you'd feel good about the season for Mykel Williams.
That's a really interesting question. I'd love to look at how many did. All right. Well, I'll answer this two ways. First, with a real answer, and then we'll look into it. My gut tells me if Mykel Williams gets if he's 7.5, I think that's probably not terrible. I would feel good if you told me right now 7.5. I would say I'll roll the dice and see if he can get more. I wouldn't take it. I'd say let's see if he can get 9. But I think I'd feel good. I think that's okay because to me 7.5 in year 1 means 11.5 in year 2. Now, how many did Jared Verse have last year?
Alden Smith had
rookie of the year.
Alden Smith had 14. So
yeah,
for reference, Alden had 14. Those guys had 13. Just for reference, so those are it's not going up there. But what's a realistic?
Do you know how many Jared Verse had last year?
Yeah.
4.5. I know. I looked.
Felt like way more.
Yeah. What is the? Do we have like rookie? It was rookie sack leaders. Last year, Braden Fisk had 8.5. I mean, Rams had a good draft. Which is great, which is really good. Chop Robinson had 6. Jonah Ellis had 5 for Denver. Leatu Latu drafted. He was the first defensive lineman drafted last year. At like, where was he drafted? Like 15 or 16 or something?
I believe, yeah, right in there.
He had 4, and he played 17 games. What was wrong with it? What happened? He had 16 tackles.
So yeah, I mean 7 would be phenomenal. Like given last year's numbers, 7 would be incredible. 6 is probably realistic is probably like 5, but 6, anything north of 5 would be great. 6 ideal, 7 incredible, and that team's going a long way.
14. Do you know the rookie record for sacks is Javon Curse 14.5? How many guys have had? I can't see this full list, but then you have Alden. Micah had 13. Parsons, Dwight Freeney had 13. Reggie White had 13. Simeon Rice had 12.5. Bradley Chubb had 12. Dana Stubblefield 10.5. Wow. Joey Bosa 10.5. I mean, Nick Bosa had 9. So, what was that stat what did you just throw up on the screen?
Mike said he'd be happy with 7 sacks. So yeah, right in there. I mean, that would be phenomenal. What about this question here?
I like that you're doing this. How many teams approach the Niners this year with this defensive front? I feel like teams they could run. How will teams approach the Niners this year? I feel like teams knew they could run and use play action a lot last year. I mean, I think they're going to try and run on them. Like the Niners are unproven up front. So I'm not going to just like let Alfred Collins beat me on rep. He's got to do it. So I think teams will try and run the ball on them. But I think they'll also throw like the safeties, the corners, like the linebacker. You try and get linebacker 2 on your tight end or over your slot. There's some good tight ends they're playing this year. Like what's Colson Loveland? Right now, Ben Johnson's looking at that matchup. Colson Loveland, Fred Warner.
Opens
up the field.
Martin, yeah.